Hi, and welcome to Quirky Books with Katie. Today I'm going to be doing my December wrap-up and January TBR video. So I read a total of 10 books in the month of December, which was amazing because I haven't read that many in a while, and I was in a pretty bad reading slump for quite a while, so now I'm going to get into the books that I read during the month of January. I'm going to go in backwards order for this because I stacked my books the wrong way. I hope that's okay. So in case you guys didn't know, I recently participated in the 24-hour readathon and it was a lot of fun. And one of the books that I read for this readathon was Something Strange and Deadly by Susan Dennard. This is a steampunk historical fiction set in the 1800s in Philadelphia, and it is about this girl named Eleanor, and in her city, the dead are rising, and she gets a note from them, and she thinks that the dead have her brother, so she goes to a group of people called spirit hunters in order to have them help her find her brother. And this book was just filled with a lot of action and romance and zombies. I've never read a zombie book before, and this was really good. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. It would have gotten 5, but the main character kind of annoyed me at the beginning of the book, but I would definitely recommend this book. The second book that I read for the readathon was All Our Yesterdays by Kristen Terrell, and this is a time travel book, and it's told from 2 points of view. The first point of view is Marina, and she is in love with her neighbor named James, and he finally asks her out, and they go to a party, and crap happens. And the second point of view is a girl named M, and M is currently locked in a prison cell, and she needs to try and go back in time to stop something bad from happening in order to prevent the awful future. Now, I usually have an issue with time travel books, but this book was actually really good. It was really fast-paced and filled with romance, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is These Broken Stars by Megan Spooner and Amy Kaufman. And this was actually one of my most anticipated books of the year. It's basically the Titanic in space. It's told from 2 points of view, Lilac and Tarver. Lilac is the daughter of basically the most powerful man in the universe, and Tarver is a soldier, and they are flying aboard the spaceship, the Icarus, which I like the mythology aspect of that. And the ship crashes, and they kind of have to survive on this planet that is basically uninhabited. Now, I was really excited to read These Broken Stars, but I know I'm in the minority on this, but I was really disappointed with the book. My main issue with it's the kind of thing that I should have liked, but I just didn't feel any emotional attachment whatsoever to the characters. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care that they were stuck on an island. They almost died multiple times, and I didn't care. And the ending was sad. Or near the ending, it got really sad, and I still didn't care. I didn't care when they got together, and I don't know, I just had an issue with it, and it didn't really get very sci-fi till the end, and even then it was just kind of like thrown in there, and I was just like, wait, what's going on? So I gave These Broken Stars 2 out of 5 stars, and I don't understand how this is going to be a series. I feel like the book was wrapped up nicely, so I don't know. The next book that I read was Dare You To by Katie McGarry, and this is the second book in the Pushing the Limit series, and I love Katie McGarry, and this book was awesome. It is again told from her signature 2 points of view. The first point of view is Beth, who is one of the characters in Pushing the Limits, and Beth has had a pretty hard life, and she gets arrested and shipped off to live with her uncle, and she really doesn't like it. And our second narrator is Ryan, who is the typical popular jock. He's a baseball player, but not everything's perfect in his life, and they meet, and of course they fall in love. Now, I really like this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't like it as much as Pushing the Limits, but I would still recommend this series if you're fans of contemporary, because it's one of the best they're the best contemporary books I've ever read, besides the French Kiss series by Stephanie Perkins. And anything Sarah Dessen. Just read the books. The next book that I read is Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Wine, and this is the companion novel to Codename Verity. Although I didn't actually read Codename Verity, I don't think you need to read it to enjoy this book. This book is about a fighter pilot named Rose Justice, and Rose is flying over Paris when she gets captured by the Nazis and put into the work camp of Ravensbrück, and she basically is barely surviving, and this is just her story, and I just adored this book so much. I love historical fiction, I love books about the Holocaust, and it was just filled with so much heart, and it had such a good message, and it's a book that I think everyone should read. It's one of the best Holocaust stories I've ever read, and I gave that book 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was actually an advanced reader's copy from NetGalley, and that is Being Sloane Jacobs by Lauren Morrill. Lauren Morrill also wrote Meant to Be, which is a book I know a lot of people have read, and I gave Being Sloane Jacobs a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is the story of two girls, both named Sloane Jacobs, and they switch places for the summer. One is an ice skater, one is a hockey player, and they kind of learn the whole grass is greener routine. It was a really cute book. It wasn't very heartfelt, which is why I knocked it down. I'm a fan of heartfelt contemporaries, but it was a really cute, fun book. And I think that book comes out sometime at the beginning of January, but I'm not sure the exact date. The next book that I read is Good Tidings and Great Joy by Sarah Palin. As I probably mentioned before, I am really big into politics. Not the politics that most people like, but whatever. And this book is kind of about the quote-unquote war on Christmas, and I absolutely adored this book. Basically, it was everything that I have to say about the topic. It was perfect. I really loved some of her arguments. She goes into her beliefs, and she kind of goes into her history with Christmas, and I just really, really liked this book, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Tiger's Destiny by Colleen Houck. This is the 4th book in the Tigers saga, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. It was really slow and hard to get into, and by this point the love triangle was basically driving me nuts. You knew who she was going to end up with. You didn't need the whole dancing around and whatever, but the ending was really cute, and it almost made me cry. I don't know, I like this series. It's good, but it's not great. The next book that I read was actually a reread, and that is Just One Day by Gail Forman. This is the story of a girl named Allison who goes to Paris over the summer, and she meets a guy named Willem, and they have a magical day together, and she wakes up after that day and he is gone, and it makes her reevaluate her life. And I liked this book the first time around, but I didn't love it, and the second time around I think I really appreciated it more. I felt like I could more relate to her character, and I really liked it. I still had some issues with it, but overall it's a great book that I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. After that, I read the companion book, which is Just 1 Year by Gail Forman, and this book takes place from Willem's point of view. Now, this book was slow at times, I have to admit, but this book changed my viewpoints. It just impacted me so much more than I ever thought it would. The lesson I took away from this book is kind of like everything happens for a reason, and you don't know how a simple decision can change someone's life. And I know I'm not explaining it very well, but it just impacted me so much, and I was really surprised by that. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Even though I didn't love the book, I loved what I learned from the book. Now I'm going to be getting into my January TBR, which is really small because I have so much going on this month with school. I have to write my research paper for English, which is not a fun time at all. I hate research papers. And I have midterms, which I have to study for hours and hours and hours. So there's basically like 2 whole weeks in January where I'm going to get almost no reading done. So I have 3 books on my TBR. I'm probably going to read more than 3 books, but these are the only ones that I'm pretty sure I'm actually going to read. First is Where the Stars Still Shine by Trish Dollar. This is a contemporary. I'm not really sure what it's about. I think it's about a girl that's kidnapped. I got this book for Christmas, and I've heard mixed things about it, but I am really excited to read it. Next, I have World After by Susan E., and this is the second book in the Penryn and the End of Days series. The first book was Angel Fall, and I freaking adored Angel Fall, and I really want to read this book because I want to know what happens. But I feel like no one has read this book yet, so I don't know if it's good or not. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read this, because I need to know if it's good. And the last book that I plan on reading in January is Crash Into You by Katie McGarry. This is the third book in the Pushing the Limits series. And this book follows 2 points of view. Rachel, who is the typical like straight A student, good girl, and Isaiah, who's also one of the characters from Pushing Limits and Crash Into You, and he's kind of the bad boy from the other side of the tracks, but apparently both have issues of their own, and of course they fall in love. And I heard so many good things about this book. I heard that it's even better than Pushing the Limits, which is awesome because I adore Pushing the Limits. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys have read any of these books or have heard anything about them. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.